What if I told you that your views on taxes, healthcare, and even your neighborhood zoning laws were shaped by philosophers who lived hundreds of years ago? Welcome to Phronesis Hub, where we are about to embark on a journey through the hidden forces that shape our political world. From the streets of ancient Athens to the debates in modern parliaments, political philosophy has been the invisible architect of our societies. It's the whisper behind revolutions, the foundation of constitutions, and the fuel for countless coffee shop arguments. In this series, we'll peel back the curtain on these powerful ideas. We'll explore how thinkers like Locke, Rousseau, and Marx have grappled with fundamental questions about human nature, justice, and the ideal society. More importantly, we'll see how their ideas continue to resonate in our modern world, influencing everything from your social media feed to global geopolitics. Whether you're a seasoned political enthusiast or just trying to make sense of the latest headlines, these videos will equip you with the tools to critically analyze the political landscape around you. So, grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive into the fascinating world of political philosophy. To understand how these philosophical ideas shape our modern political landscape, let's start with a cornerstone in modern political thought, the Declaration of Independence. This document, while rooted in the American context, embodies universal principles that have influenced political philosophy and practice globally. The Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson in 1776, is more than a historical document. It is a statement of universal human rights and the role of government. It declares that all men are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It asserts that governments are instituted to secure these rights, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. When a government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new governance. The Declaration famously states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." These words encapsulate profound philosophical principles that continue to resonate globally, addressing the very nature of human rights, the role of government, and the justification for political change. The Declaration asserts that certain rights are self-evident and unalienable, but what does this mean? Self-evident truths are those that are apparent without needing further proof, akin to geometric axioms. The idea that all humans are created equal suggests a universal principle applicable to all societies. This notion of universal human rights has become a cornerstone in many modern democracies and international human rights charters. Take a moment to think about this. Are there truly self-evident truths in political philosophy, and can we universally agree on them? The Declaration states, "When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation." The Declaration speaks of the laws of nature and of nature's God. This invokes a fundamental philosophical distinction: nature versus convention. Nature refers to what is universal and permanent, whereas convention refers to what is particular and changeable. From Socrates onward, political philosophers have grappled with aligning political life with natural principles. Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher, emphasized seeking universal truths and ethical principles that transcend individual societies. His student Plato further explored these ideas in his works such as The Republic, where he discussed justice, the ideal state, and the philosopher king concept. To understand Plato's vision more deeply, let's consider a key excerpt from The Republic. Until philosophers rule as kings, or those who are now called kings and leading men genuinely and adequately philosophize, that is, until political power and philosophy entirely coincide, cities will have no rest from evils, nor, I think, will the human race. What does Plato mean by the idea that cities will have no rest from evils until philosophers rule, and how realistic is Plato's concept of the philosopher king in modern political systems? These reflections help us connect ancient philosophical ideas to our current political structures, offering insights into the enduring relevance of these concepts. Aristotle, another towering figure in Greek philosophy and a student of Plato, took a slightly different approach. In his work Politics, Aristotle examined various forms of government and argued that the best political system is one that allows individuals to achieve what is called in Greek eudaimonia, or human flourishing. He believed that a good government should not only maintain order, but also promote the moral and intellectual development of its citizens. One of the central themes in political philosophy is whether politics can be governed by rational deliberation, or if it is doomed to be an exercise of brute force and tyranny. Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of the United States, addressed this issue in the Federalist Papers, a collection of 85 articles and essays written by Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay to promote the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. Hamilton wondered whether societies could establish good government based on reflection and choice, or whether they would always rely on accident and force. This debate continues today. Consider modern political systems. Are democratic governments truly reflective of rational choice, or do they often succumb to populism and manipulation? Hamilton's concern makes you wonder if he'd ever seen a modern political campaign. It often feels like a blend of reality TV and a high school popularity contest, doesn't it? Political philosophy also delves into the nature of human beings and how this nature should influence political arrangements. The Declaration's reference to self-evident truths about equality and rights invites us to explore deeper questions about human nature. Are humans naturally selfish and competitive, as some political theorists argue, or do they possess a fundamental inclination toward cooperation and justice? Thomas Hobbes, an English philosopher, had a rather pessimistic view of human nature. In his work Leviathan, he described life in a state of nature as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Sounds like Hobbes might have been describing a family road trip during the holidays, doesn't it? Hobbes argued that a strong centralized authority was necessary to prevent the chaos of human selfishness. Hobbes' description of human nature sets the stage for his views on the necessity of a strong government. Consider this excerpt from Leviathan. In such conditions, there is no place for industry, because the fruit thereof is uncertain, and, consequently, no culture of the earth, no navigation, nor use of the commodities that may be imported by sea, no commodious building, no instruments of moving and removing such things as require much force, no knowledge of the face of the earth, no account of time, no arts, no letters, no society, and which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Take some time to think it over. How does Hobbes' view of human nature influence his conception of the state and government? And do you think Hobbes' view is too pessimistic, or does it accurately reflect certain aspects of human behavior? In contrast, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a French philosopher, had a more optimistic view. In his work, The Social Contract, Rousseau argued that humans are naturally good but are corrupted by society. He believed that true democracy, where citizens actively participate in governance, could help achieve a just and equitable society. Should governments merely prevent harm or actively promote human flourishing and moral development? John Locke, an English philosopher, argued in his second treatise of government that the main role of government is to protect individuals' natural rights to life, liberty, and property. Locke's ideas significantly influenced the framers of the American Constitution. On the other hand, Aristotle would insist that government should provide the condition not only for living but also for living well. Imagine if today's leaders had to pass a philosophy exam to get into the office. We might end up with fewer debates and more Socratic dialogues. Anyway, the aim of an Aristotelian regime is not just to keep the peace, but also to make human beings better by shaping their character and thought to promote the common good. Think about this. How do your own government's policies reflect these different views on the role of government? The Declaration asserts that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. This principle raises several critical questions. First, how is the consent of the governed expressed? Is it through elections, referenda, or something else? Second, how can we balance majority rule with the protection of minority rights? This is a pressing issue in many democracies today, where the rights of minority groups can be threatened by the will of the majority. For example, in the United States, the struggle for civil rights has been a constant battle to ensure that the rights of minorities are protected against the tyranny of the majority. Similar issues can be seen in countries like India, where the rights of various religious and ethnic minorities are often a subject of political debate. Third, can the majority consent to a non-democratic or even tyrannical government? History has shown us that this is possible, and it remains a cautionary tale for modern democracies. Think about this. In your country, how are the rights of minorities protected against the potential tyranny of the majority? Now let's explore some contemporary examples to demonstrate how principles we've talked about can be relevant in real-life scenarios. This can underscore the practical importance of political philosophy. The EU struggles with balancing national sovereignty and the collective decision-making, reflecting ongoing debates about the nature of political authority and the consent of the governed. Brexit. The United Kingdom's decision to leave the EU is a prime example of these tensions. It highlights the challenge of maintaining a balance between a collective good of the Union and the desire of individual member states. The recent protests in Hong Kong highlights conflicts between individual rights and governmental authority, illustrating the global relevance of the issues discussed in the Declaration. The imposition of the national security law by the Chinese government has raised concerns about erosion of the freedoms guaranteed to Hong Kong under the one country, two systems principle. Let's also consider the political developments in Brazil, South Africa, and India. These countries provide rich examples of how diverse political philosophies manifest in varied cultural and historical contexts. For instance, Brazil's recent political turmoil and South Africa's post-apartheid governance challenges offer insights into the practical application of political theories in modern societies. The Declaration combines self-evident reasoning, logical truths that are considered obvious, with prudence and experience, or in another word, practical wisdom and historical lessons. It asserts universal principles while relying on historical facts to justify political action, to provide reasons for the American colonies to separate from Britain. Remember that this dual approach, combining abstract principles with concrete evidence, is crucial for political philosophy. The Declaration states, "Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed." The Declaration is not just a list of grievances or a statement of independence, but a carefully crafted document that balances philosophical ideals with practical realities. This dual approach makes it both intellectually compelling and politically effective. Karl Marx, a German philosopher and economist, argued that ideas about nature and rights are shaped by historical and material conditions. In his works such as the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, Marx suggested that what we consider to be universal truths may actually reflect the interests of dominant economic classes. This perspective challenges us to consider whether our political principles are genuinely universal or if they are contingent on a specific historical context. What do you think? Do you believe that political principles are universal, or are they shaped by historical and material conditions? In this session, we've only scratched the surface of the deep and enduring questions posed by political philosophy. By examining the Declaration of Independence, we've explored fundamental concepts such as equality, rights, the nature of government, and the role of human nature in political arrangements. As we move forward, we'll delve deeper into the works of key political philosophers, Plato, Aristotle, Locke, Rousseau, Marx, and others, tracing the evolution of political thought and its impact on modern political systems. Political philosophy is not just about understanding the past, it's about engaging with the present and thinking critically about the future. I encourage you to continue reflecting on these questions and consider how they apply to your own political context. Share your thoughts in the comment section.